Everyone asks me, Dolores, how much does it cost to live in Lisbon? I moved here by myself, and today I'm breaking down how much I spend a month, from groceries to coffee, going out, everything, so you can see how much it costs to live in Lisbon in 2025. My biggest expense is my rent. Depending on where you want to live, if you want to be close to the city center, the condition of your apartment, if you want air conditioning, dishwasher, all those things that make living in your apartment comfortable. Apartments can range anywhere from 900 to 1300 euros. I paid around 1400 euros for my apartment. The thing about my apartment that made it so much more expensive was that my apartment came fully furnished. I had a couch, I had a bed, I had a desk. I just basically came in and just decorated, bought all the extra things, added personal touches. I moved here with 2 bags. Like, I wasn't gonna pack furniture. I didn't want to bring anything from the old country. It was really important for me to just kind of find somewhere where I can just like plug in, relax, focus on getting my visa and my residency stuff in order and settle in. So that's what worked for me at the time. It does get much cheaper to live outside of the city. So if, say, for instance, you live on the other side of the bridge, which is, Costa Caparica, it does get substantially cheaper. But then after that, you kind of have to think about, transportation, and that adds a little bit more to your cost of living. If you want to come into the city, it just kind of depends on your lifestyle and where you want to live. For me, it was just really important to be close to restaurants, parks, transportation, like the metro. So that's why I picked the area that I live in and why I picked this apartment. For utilities, rent water. For utilities, water, electricity, Wi-Fi, cable, and mobile phone. It usually ranges around 100 to 150 euros. My cable, my Wi-Fi, and my mobile phone all came together in one package. I don't know why I'm paying for cable because I do not watch TV. So that's something I have to fix. So yeah, those two things usually range from 100 to 150 a month. For groceries, grocery shopping is one of my favorite things to do. I go grocery shopping every day. I buy what I need for the day. I usually plan out breakfasts, and it's pretty simple. It's like a coffee and like a little whatever. But I would say that for groceries, I spend around 200 to 300 euros a month, and that's being very generous. Depending on your grocery shop, like Bingo, Little, Continente, Auchan, you can pretty much find whatever it is that you're looking for. The grocery stores here are pretty great. Everything's really fresh. But if you're looking for like a more international American grocery store, I think El Corte Inglés is where it's at. Like, you can literally find anything and everything at that grocery store. It's my favorite place to get lost in. So 300 is like on the higher end when I'm feeling bougie and I want to buy like a little something extra. For eating out and coffee is like my social hours. That's what I do with my friends. It's my outing. It's my, I just need to get out of the house. I need to not be here and do something. I go out and get a coffee. Luckily in Lisbon, a coffee is like 1 to 2 euros. If you're feeling like maybe I need a matcha, it does get a little bit more pricey depending on where you go. It can be anywhere from 6 to 7 euros. A full meal out can range from 10 to 15 euros, depending on where you go. But that's usually how much I spend a month in outings, is 100 to 200 euros. For going out for drinks, if that's kind of your activity, drinks are really expensive. But I feel like drinks are expensive anywhere because you're mostly paying for, the socializing, the activity, the vibes. Drinks can range anywhere from 10 to 15 euros. I go to a lot to wine bars. A glass of wine can be anywhere from 3 to 6 euros. I think that one of the coolest things about Lisbon is like that 2 by Czech wine is probably the best wine you can find, and it's so delicious. But if drinking is not your thing, then just disregard that. Transportation, a monthly metro pass that includes trains, trams, and buses is usually 40 euros. I like to walk everywhere. I think my Chevrolet legs, I like to keep them pretty active here. So I do take the occasional Uber, and being very generous with the transportation cost, I would say it's like 100 euro. The most expensive Euro ride that I paid in the city has probably been like 10 euros, and it's from like one side of town to the opposite side of town. The least I've ever spent on an Uber was 60 cents. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. I took a screenshot because I needed proof that that was a real thing. For healthcare and insurance, so the national healthcare is free, and that's what I have, so I don't spend anything on healthcare. But if you want private insurance, it ranges from 30 to 50 euros a month. It just depends on what it is that you want in life and, you know, your personal health stuff. For lifestyles and extra things like gym, hair, nails, I kind of go all crazy. Like my nails are my self-care, and I get them done every 3 weeks without fail. So I spend around 50 to 60 euros, just depending on how crazy the designs are. I love my nail girl here. I do not ever want to give up my nails. Like this is like what makes me happy is having fancy, beautiful nails. So I don't know if I'm gonna give that up. For ClassPass, I get the 29 euro a month, which is, you know, usually comes down to two classes a week. And I love ClassPass because I love having options and trying new things. I can go to yoga class, I can go to breathwork, I can go to Pilates class. And going to fitness classes has also become like a social thing for me. So I do meet up with my friends there and we do work out together. Another of my more costlier expenses is my hair. I don't grow red hair. So I do have to get my hair bleached and dyed, and depending on the season, a haircut, which I desperately need right now, but that usually ranges from 130 to 140 every maybe like 3 to 4 months. But I'm bad, and I let my hair grow out like this much before I go get it done. So I don't go every 6 weeks. But yeah, it's 130 to 140 a month. So some things that people don't usually bring up or they don't usually think about, and it's not something that you'll spend monthly on, but you know, deposits for apartments here are kind of crazy. But that's only a one-time cost. I remember when I rented my apartment, she wanted a first month, a last month, and then the deposit. So that was basically 3 months rent. Actually, it was 4 months rent because I had to pay the month I was living there, the first and the last. So she wanted 2 months rent, and then the month that I was living there, and then the deposit. So yeah, just do the math on that one. There's visa fees, there's random things that come up, but you know, those aren't gonna happen all the time. There's surprise bills. So just keep in mind when budgeting for life that, you know, those are things that are gonna come up. Lisbon can be affordable compared to other European cities, but it's not as cheap as you can possibly imagine. There's, you know, clearly I live in one of the bigger cities in Portugal, so it's going to cost more. Again, like if you're living in like a San Francisco or, you know, an LA, it's clearly going to cost more than living in like the middle of, you know, I don't know, St. Louis or whatever. So just keeping that in mind when you're thinking about cost of living. And then again, I think it's super disrespectful to say that life here is cheap, because if you think about what the monthly income for a Portuguese person is, this is expensive. So I refrain from saying things are cheap here because they're not. You know, they're on par with the cost of living for an average Portuguese salary. And I always want to be really respectful of that and just be very mindful that I come from a place of privilege and I am able to afford the things that I afford, even though that my life has changed drastically. I don't spend as extravagantly as I once did. I do just focus on, you know, basic necessities, the things that I need, you know, just the things I do to keep me sane. I don't go shopping anymore. I haven't bought clothes in months. I haven't bought shoes in months. I've actually started selling some of my things because I do feel like it's a little bit more of an excess of things that I have. So being very mindful of that. My monthly cost of living right now in Lisbon is around 2,500 euros. That's rounding up using the higher end of all the ranges I kind of gave. And of course, what your cost of living is going to depend on your lifestyle, where you live. But I hope this kind of gives you a realistic idea of what to expect of living in Portugal. living in Lisbon in 2025. If you're dreaming of moving abroad or just curious about life in Lisbon in general, make sure to subscribe. I post videos on what it's like to start over in your 30s and building a brand new life in Portugal. I hope you really enjoy this. Let's keep the conversation going. If you have any questions, leave me comments. I hope you have a great day and enjoyed today's video. Bye.